When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Well, all right. Hello, listeners. Welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. As always, I am your host, Colleen Biggs. How have you all been feeling this last week? I know we've had some really amazing topics in the past several weeks on our podcast and have brought in some great women and men to share a little bit about those topics. And today we're really going to dive a lot into emotional intelligence and resilience. And this is something that I'm not so sure is talked about a lot, especially in the small business entrepreneur world. I think it's more discussed in corporate America, maybe the larger businesses out there. So I'm excited that Saskia Christian is with us today and we get to dive into those topics. But before we get to Saskia, of course, I always want to thank our sponsor of today's show, Beyond Basil Mobile Pizzeria. We are passionate about bringing the authentic flavors of Italy right to your event. Our mobile pizzeria is a culinary adventure on wheels where we craft artisanal pizzas using the finest ingredients and traditional Neapolitan techniques. Whether you're craving a classic margarita or looking to explore one of our unique flavor combinations, our skilled pizziola are here to create mouthwatering pizzas that will tantalize your taste buds. With our commitment to quality and exceptional service, we aim to provide you an unforgettable dining experience for every one of your guests. Explore our menu, book us for your next event, or follow us on Instagram at Beyond Basil Pizza. Get ready to embark on a pizza journey like no other with Beyond Basil Mobile Pizzeria. You can view the menu and contact them online at beyondbasilmobilepizzeria.com. All right. Well, are we ready to jump in to today's topic of emotional intelligence and resilience? And I'm excited to have Saskia Christian with us today. She's a certified life transformation and informed trauma coach, speaker, and published author with almost 20 years corporate visionary leadership experience as a PMP certified chemical engineer in the high-tech sectors. For decades, her coaching of around the world has brought encouragement, healing, and inspiration with extraordinary life-changing results. Saskia, welcome to today's show.
Oh, thank you so much, Colleen, for having me. It's such a pleasure being on this platform. Thank you.
Yeah, it is really exciting to have you here. You are my first chemical engineer that we've had on the show. So, I mean, you know, I've met rocket scientists and I've met scientists in many other areas, but you're definitely the first chemical engineer. And I just want to ask you, how do you feel about your skills and your dedication as a chemical engineer? How has that really brought, you know, those skill sets for you now, working with companies in resilience, working with executive leaders in emotional intelligence? Where did that really come from for you that you wanted to land on those subjects in what you were teaching and guiding on?
Brilliant. So that's an awesome question. I believe I've always been a very passionate person, I was told, filled with purpose and knew exactly where I needed to go in life. And chemical engineering being the fact it's a very unique discipline, first of all, and it's very challenging. I gravitated to that. So that laid the foundation. And in addition to some challenges I had to overcome in my academia journey, that really did set me up for success in the corporate world because, you know, you need to be able to be someone who overcome adversities and lead regardless of what's going on. So that's really what it's about and how it started.
Yeah. And what led you to want to become a certified life coach in trauma. Where did you feel that pull come? Like at what point in corporate America as a chemical engineer did you say to yourself, because they're very two different types of careers. So where did it come from? Was something going on in your personal life, or what really drove you to that?
That's a brilliant question. So I had pivotal moments in both my personal and professional life. And as I was leading teams, I had the opportunity in my corporate career to lead international teams to great success. I realized that the key knob, how I got people to really do things, for the team and for me when I do ask, was because I displayed empathy and I displayed compassion. So I led with a heart posture. And because of that, I gained respect because I understood and I met everyone where they're at. You have to understand people's position. That's how you gain, confidence and so forth from them. And so that's really how the EQ, the importance of emotional intelligence, understanding your emotions, understanding the person's emotions. When they show up, you understand it's a human component that's showing up. It's not a number.
It is. I know, but still today, Saskia, the corporate America focuses on the numbers, right? They have a budget. They have a board of directors that expects them to reach that budget, hit the specific amount of numbers. So I feel like you get all of these executives are all stressed out, trying to really reach that number, and they just kind of whip people around. I'll share quickly. Yesterday, I did a workshop for about 150 people, and I got all of them up into two, we had 4 lines, and I had one line had to memorize the other line, and then they had to turn around, and then that line mixed everybody up. And then when they came back around, the line that was blindfolded or had, closed their eyes, now they had to put everyone back in order. And one of the lines was working together and trying to decide and figure out who was where. And maybe if we line everyone up for the partner that was in front of you, it would be easier to do. And the other line was dragging people. Hurry. They're like dragging them by the arm down the row, putting them where they're supposed to be, like forcing them. And it was just an interesting dynamic to me, the difference in the two lines. The one was working together, having conversations, communication. The other one was literally physically forcing people to get into space, which I think we see a lot of in corporate America. It's not you're essentially being forced to do things necessarily that maybe aren't natural for you. It could even be outside of your natural scope of your personality. And there we burn out faster, right? Because it's not really about what they are good at or how they will flourish in that position and how they can become a better employee, more dedicated, produce more. It's the opposite of that. I see them burning out. Are you seeing that?
And it's about, you're absolutely right. So it's all about connectivity, really. How can one connect their passion and their purpose to what the assignment, they were assigned to do? And so when you do have that match, it's just beautiful in terms of the results that come out of it. The creativity, the innovation, it really does pay off. It's quite significant dividend when you're able to connect the two and people have passion and purpose fulfillment in their lives. And then it also transfers to their personal life as well. And I can't tell you, the ROI is so huge out of that. So we really we can't afford to waste this opportunity. So many years going by, so much opportunity to raise our innovation standard. And we have to make a shift now because we need people who think about others, how others can best be plugged in and how their skills can be leveraged for phenomenal success. We absolutely need that. I don't care whether you're a CEO or not. There's an urgency here, and we're being deprived of all that goodness just because we refuse to include, or we think it's secondary. It's not necessarily, excellent for business. No. It is.
Yeah. So everyone knows I'm a sports fan, and our family for a while there, when when football got extremely political, our family had a really tough time watching football because it was just ridiculous that would happen during a football game, right? Just one of America's favorite sports ever. And so we've started watching football again right now there's a reality show out there for quarterbacks. And everyone knows that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Mahomes is their quarterback last year. One of my granddaughters is just in love with him. I don't know what the deal is, but she loved him long before. And now that I've watched this reality show, I'm kind of thinking I really like this guy. He's quite phenomenal, in his skill. But one thing I noticed, when the head coaches for that team are, when they are brought in, you would think that they kind of run the show and they could make the calls and they run the show. What I loved about his coach was the autonomy that he had with the team. Yeah. So he gives them a day every week where they can go to this special field, and it is their day, the whole entire team, to work on plays, try things, come up with new things, be creative, really work together as a team to come up with what, based on everybody's strengths, what everyone thinks a play should be. Then they have to present it to the head coach and the coaching teams so that the coach can approve it and say, yeah, this is great. We can move forward with that as a play on the field, maybe for a specific team or whatever, that they're playing against. I think it's great because it also creates buy-in and enrollment for everyone, because they're not just there as robots doing the deed of what they're told they're doing. Now they have this enrollment and engagement, and they own that decision. They own what they created. And that really gives a sense of honor and a sense of completion for a person to know that they're respected that way. I think we forget that these are humans that are working at these companies.
Yes, people want to feel valued. They want to feel as though they're worth something, and that they're listened to, they matter, because we all have unique potency to give. We're not replaceable. We're not a number. And when we show up, you have to be listened to, each person, because they come with their own cultural competence. They come with their own game-changing offering. And when you miss that, I can't tell you how much goodness you're missing.
Yeah. So, totally. Yes. Yeah, because they're coming from a background where they've been trained and have knowledge and have wisdom and have experience, and they can all use all of that to apply. Let's switch the conversation to talk about resiliency. I think this is the number one subject that needs to be discussed today, and the number one topic really surrounding anything cultural, social, in the workplace. There's just been so many changes between what's happening in the news, the conversations about, different types of who people identify as, moving on to race. I mean, there's just, it's overwhelming to me. And resiliency is the area that I think a lot of corporations are weak in, because they're just kind of going with the flow and they're just kind of making it up. Oh, okay, well, we're just going to allow everyone to use the restroom now. And okay, well, we're going to allow we have to, talk about pronouns before every, meeting. It's gotten to the point where they're just kind of falling into it, not really understanding the damage it's doing to the culture of the business as a whole. So could we step into resiliency a little bit, and how the strength of resiliency and what you teach and how you guide companies and in, larger cultures, how that has significantly can make changes and shifts for that company?
Yeah. So everybody, I'm going to lead with this. Everybody would like to have a comeback, a major comeback in their life. And believe it or not, business systems resiliency is also critical, right? So if we talk about the individual, I've always said thriving requires a resilient soul. So you have to look at this first, really, the resiliency from an individual level. Resiliency is that power to bounce back quickly and to maintain that bounce back state, that state of thriving. And so when you do plug in, EQ, and all of that grace that people, or professionals have for each other. It's amazing what that resilience knob can do. People want to have a turnaround. And so leveraging all that into the environment gives hope, tangible hope for a brighter future in terms of technology excellence, in terms of quality excellence, in terms of goodness all around. We got to get people motivated. And one way to get people motivated and show up and believe in the future, in the bright future ahead, is by building their resiliency. And that's exactly what I offer as a resiliency architect. Purposeful, purpose-driven comebacks for the individual. And when that's looked at as a collective perspective, you have companies, organizations winning.
Yeah.
When that's done.
Yeah. Yeah, they really do. And what do you think it takes, for a company there's a lot of companies out there that have not recognized this yet. I mean, servant leadership has been around since the probably early 1900s. Mm-hmm. And still, I think it was the 1950s, still hundreds, if not thousands of companies are operating without a servant leadership model within their company. And I know you've got some e-courses that you've put together that talk a lot on the servant leadership and some other topics. Do you want to discuss those a little bit?
Yes. So I'm so glad you asked that. So my e-course portfolio is really geared towards that magnificent comeback for the professional. And the professional does have personal lives. So the first offering I do have is on seasonal thriving. How can someone, what are the challenges? What are the coping mechanisms to counteract those challenges? Reflections, opportunities, even in the harsh seasons. And I equated those seasons to the natural seasons of life, winter, fall, spring, and summer. And it's just amazing when you look from that perspective, how much healing and empowerment, healing, mental, emotional, spiritual healing can take place for that major purpose and passion fulfilled life that they've been dreaming of. So I really did look at it from an individual perspective because nobody is a number. And I believe when coaching is done on an individualistic base, a tailored, customized basis, it's phenomenal results, breakthrough results take place. Mm-hmm. And when the individuals show up, their best selves, best version of themselves, companies, organizations, CEOs, everybody wins. Mm-hmm. Everybody wins in this. And then in terms of the resilience framework, I did create a whole terminology around resilience and a 5-step plan for one can actually attain resilience in their lives. And of course, the servant leadership, looking at the 10 C's in servant leadership, whether it be, compassion, communication, credibility is key. And that's one of the things that I realize when we look at EQ, we sometimes forget that it's a combination of credibility and competence, intellectual competence, They go hand in hand. You can't forsake one for the other and think you're winning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very important point there. And I just want everyone watching live or, listening on the podcast to really think about having these land with you. If you're working for a corporation right now, do you feel that? Do you feel that those are in upper management have a connection with you or allowing you the autonomy of creation and creativity? And do you possess that emotional intelligence? Are you able to utilize that to the best of your ability? And do you feel that you've been taught resiliency within the company culture? Is it part of the company culture? And I know there's, all types of things with diversity that you teach, and there's so many different ways that you do that. So did you want to share with our listeners in corporations how you do workshops and different pieces to be able to allow those corporations to be able to flourish, and create a better culture for the individuals that work there?
Yes. So in terms of leadership, I've had the opportunity in my corporate career to lead even young technologists, budding technologists, going in close to 100 of them at an event really for, technology, to raise technology awareness. And so it starts really from understanding that everybody comes with their own diverse perspectives. And we do have on the serve community, right? And again, that's where a critical point area of empathy, right? That's where empathy is leveraged, understanding that not everybody's background is the same, and catering to that to make sure that all the talent offerings are well utilized, right? Because everyone matters. And also, even in leading for seasonal professionals, whether it's meetings or what have you, I always lead with, what do you have to say? What do you have to say? What do you have to bring? And recognize and respect each and every perspective, because that's what make the end result beautiful. And people they never forget that. When you ask them, what do you think? How can you contribute to this? And, and get their voices, let their voices be heard. You actively listen. All those things, those are pointers that you cannot buy. They are priceless, and they are necessary in the corporate framework for us to get the change in the future that we deserve.
Yeah. I know you do a lot of workshops and some other things, but let's go ahead and share with our listeners where they can find you. I know your website at boostthrough.com. That's BOOSTTHRU.com. And where else can they find you, Saskia?
Yes, you can find me also on LinkedIn. I do have a company page there, the Boost Through company page, and on YouTube, as well as on Instagram. So,
wonderful.
Yes. So again, Boost Through is a multi-platform coaching service created with professionals, you, the professional in mind, in helping you, giving you the tools and nuggets to overcome the adversities by tapping into your resilience power and becoming the best version of yourself.
Yeah, I would say if you're a female CEO of a company right now, and maybe you're growing that company, it could be a new insurance company you're growing. They're going through some really treacherous times right now. And if you're confused on how to keep your team cohesive, to apply emotional intelligence, to keep everybody motivated, to really employ resiliency at no matter what size the company is, I would say that Saskia is one of the great guides and consultants for, especially, wouldn't you say, Saskia, for female CEOs that could be going through this right now?
Because I do get it. I walked it, and I saw the results when you lead with the right heart posture.
Yeah.
And I'm here to encourage not only women, but men to really rise up. We all have it within us to lead with that understanding that you matter.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also the understanding that everybody in our company understands they matter, right? So, and if you're the CEO, that's a lot of pressure, and you may not know exactly how to do that. And that's okay, because knowledge is power. Exactly. And so once you learn and you know how to do it, you can employ those throughout the entire organization. And that's what I love, how you guide those executive individuals on understanding that, and then how for them to employ that.
Yes, it's healing and empowerment can start from the top, and it can have a major ripple effect if it's intentional and it's coming from the right place. You see, it has to be genuine. Genuine empathy can produce amazing outcomes, and you have to have strategies, right, to be able to effect change in your environment towards EQ, so that EQ can take precedence over that IQ that's been leading us for decades on end. And we know the results because we want more. We know there is more. So let's tap into it.
I 1,000% agree. Saskia, thank you so much for being a guest on today's show. And don't forget, we've got her website, boostthrough.com. You can connect with Saskia on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Send her an email or send her a message and DM her and let her know that you heard her on Take the Leap podcast. And
Yes.
I just want to remind all the ladies out there, if you're struggling to build a business, if you're not making the amount of money that you want to make, or you have an idea and want to launch a business, then you're going to want to come to the Thrive and Prosper retreat that we have available starting now. We have early bird through September 31st and starting November 1st through the 5th. We are going to be in Scottsdale, Arizona at a beautiful home, and you're going to be able to get coaching and masterminding. We have some amazing expert speakers lined up for you, and you're going to walk out of there with a business action plan so you know right away what you need to do in your business to start generating more money. So if you're one of those women and you need a time away to be able to focus solely on your business, this is going to be an amazing retreat for you. So I highly recommend that you think about attending. We've got all the information in the notes. Saskia, again, thank you so much for everything that you've brought to the community today in our conversation and just in general for stepping up and understanding your worth and your value of what you bring to the table for these executives and CEOs, because they do need guidance and assistance. And just because they're the CEO doesn't mean they know everything.
Absolutely.
Right. So they need the help just like we all do.
And I just want to say one thing when the viewers, when you go on the website, boostthrough.com, there's an online survey where you can let us in on your journey, share insights so we can know how we can best cater to your needs. I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So that's how we make a difference in lives and impact for passion and purpose and healing and empowerment in the lives of everyone.
That's great. Thank you, Saskia. And just remember, ladies and gentlemen out there, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that's ever going to be. We talk about this every single week. So you're either going to step up and say, you know what, I really could use some guidance in growing this big company. And I am going through a treacherous time right now. We are all companies are going through major changes right now with what's been happening in the world. So with that being said, why not get a trusted guide by your side of someone that you can work with, or bring in Saskia as an expert to be able to work with your staff. And it's just, it makes life a lot easier instead of it being harder. Well, everyone, that's all we have time for today. Saskia, thanks again for being an amazing guest on Take the Leap. Again, I'm your host, Colleen Biggs. Until next time, don't forget, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery, where you learned the tools to create a life by design. Remember, you are the only you there is, and you are the only you that will ever be. Be you and be strong, because you are brilliant, and the world needs you at your best. We cannot wait for you to join us again next time.